It's one of the most painful experiences in dating, being ghosted. One moment, everything feels alive. Conversations are flowing, plans are being made, and you're investing your heart and your time. And the next? Silence. No explanations. No goodbye. No warning. Just disappearance. You stare at your phone. You refresh your messages, hoping for a text that never comes. You replay your last conversation in your head, searching for a clue, a sign, a hint. Why? Why did he just vanish? And the common answers you hear everywhere. He's afraid of commitment. He's immature. He's not ready for love. These might be true, but they're not the full picture. Because ghosting isn't always about him not valuing you. It's often about something much deeper, more complicated, and a lot less obvious. Today, I'm going to take you beneath the surface. We're going to explore the real reasons men ghost, the psychological patterns, the emotional blocks, and the fears they don't voice. And by the time you finish listening, you'll have a new perspective, one that helps you heal faster, love wiser, and reclaim your power. So sit with me for a while. Let's unravel the truth behind the ghost. You see, ghosting isn't just a cruel act of cowardice. It's a defense mechanism, a way for a man to protect himself from feeling vulnerable or exposed. But why would someone run from someone they cared about? Because sometimes the scariest thing for a man is not rejection. It's connection. I know that sounds backwards. We usually think men want to connect, to feel close, to build something real. And many do. But the deeper the connection gets, the more it threatens their inner world, especially if that inner world is fragile or unresolved. When a man ghosts, it often means he's overwhelmed by a mix of feelings he can't name, let alone express. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, not sure if he should jump into love or retreat to safety. In that moment, silence feels safer than confrontation, because confrontation demands honesty. It demands emotional labor. It demands a reckoning with parts of himself he's not ready to face. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever wanted to run from your own feelings? When emotions get too intense, sadness, anger, shame, it's natural to want to pull back, to hide, to create distance. Men do this too, except their way of hiding is often disappearing. They don't want to hurt you. They just don't know how to stay without hurting themselves. And that's the paradox of ghosting. It's an act of self-preservation disguised as rejection. Now, that doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean you deserve to be treated that way. But understanding this truth can help you stop blaming yourself. Because you are not the reason he disappeared. You are not broken. He was simply running from his own storm. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Many men who ghost actually care deeply. They might think about you late at night. They might check your social media in secret. They might replay memories and wonder where things went wrong. But their internal struggle, the mix of fear, confusion, and unresolved pain, keeps them from reaching out. They're caught between wanting to connect and being terrified of what connection might demand from them. You see, emotional availability is a muscle, and not everyone has learned how to flex it. So rather than face the discomfort of vulnerability, they retreat. That's why ghosting is often less about you and more about their own emotional limitations. Pause here and take a deep breath. I want you to know this is not about excuses. This is about clarity. Because when you understand why he ghosted, the real why, you stop spinning stories in your head. You stop chasing answers in the dark. And you start to focus on what truly matters. Your healing, your self-worth, your future. There's something quietly devastating about being left with questions that have no answers. When he ghosts, you're not just missing his presence. You're grappling with a silence that screams louder than words ever could. It's like a door slammed shut with no warning, leaving you standing outside, wondering what went wrong. But what if I told you that ghosting isn't always about a lack of interest? Sometimes, it's about fear so deep it paralyzes a man, leaving him unable to communicate or confront his own feelings. Imagine being trapped in a place where your emotions are overwhelming, confusing, and even frightening, and the only way out you see is to vanish. This isn't just about you. It's about him struggling with parts of himself he doesn't even fully understand. Think of it this way. In his mind, connection means exposure. Being truly close means showing all the cracks, the weaknesses, the parts he usually keeps hidden. And for some men, those cracks are scary. They fear judgment, rejection, or simply the vulnerability that comes with love. So instead of facing that vulnerability, they choose silence. It feels safer, easier, less painful. But for you, it leaves an emptiness. The truth is, ghosting is a sign of emotional immaturity, not in a judgmental way, but as a reflection of where he is on his personal journey. It's not a reflection of your value or worth. You didn't cause his silence. His fear did. Understanding this allows you to reclaim your story. You stop blaming yourself and start nurturing your healing. Because you deserve someone who chooses to stay, to communicate, to grow, not someone who runs at the first sign of discomfort. And here's a powerful secret. When you heal from ghosting by stepping into your own strength and clarity, you become magnetic. Not because you're chasing him, but because you're becoming whole on your own. This is the beginning of your transformation. When you let go of the need for his answers, you free yourself to create space for someone who will show up fully. And that kind of love, it's worth waiting for. If you're ready, we'll dive even deeper into how to heal from ghosting, understand the subtle signs you might have missed, and how to protect your heart moving forward. When a man ghosts, it can feel like your whole world tilts off its axis. The silence doesn't just hurt. It confuses you, leaving you questioning every little detail. Did he lose interest? Was it something you said? Was there a secret you never saw? But here's what you must understand deeply. Ghosting isn't a reflection of your worth or desirability. It's a reflection of his inner struggle. Many men who ghost are caught in a tug-of-war inside themselves. On one side, there's a desire to connect, to be seen, to share something meaningful. On the other side, there's fear of commitment, fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control. This inner conflict creates a paralysis, a freeze response. Instead of communicating, they disappear. You see, men's emotional wiring can sometimes be less straightforward than we expect. While women often seek conversation and clarity to process feelings, some men retreat from emotional intensity because it overwhelms their coping mechanisms. Ghosting is a sign that he might not have the tools or emotional maturity yet to handle the relationship's demands. And it's painful because you gave him your trust and time, hoping for reciprocation. Yet his silence tells a different story, a story of his own unresolved fears. But the good news is, this isn't the end of your story. Understanding this dynamic is the first step to reclaiming your power. Instead of spinning in circles trying to decode his silence, you can start to focus on your own healing and growth. You can begin to rebuild your self-worth on your own terms. You don't need his answers to move forward. What you need is clarity about your own value and boundaries. Because the truth is, the man who ghosts isn't the man who deserves your heart. The man who deserves you is the one who stays when it gets hard, the one who communicates even when it's uncomfortable, the one who respects you enough to be honest. So how do you stop the endless cycle of chasing and confusion? It starts with shifting your focus inward. It starts with recognizing that your peace and self-love are non-negotiable. It starts with saying, I deserve better than silence. I deserve respect. I deserve a love that doesn't disappear. And when you embrace that truth, you naturally attract people who are emotionally available. You stop wasting energy on those who aren't ready. And you open the door for real connection. If this resonates with you, keep listening as we explore practical steps to heal from ghosting, rebuild your confidence, and prepare your heart for the love you truly deserve. When healing from ghosting, one of the most important things you can do is reclaim your narrative. Too often, we get trapped in the story of what he did or didn't do, which keeps us stuck in pain and confusion. But what if you flipped the script and told a new story, one where you're the hero, not the victim? Begin by acknowledging your feelings without judgment. It's okay to feel hurt, angry, or confused. These emotions are valid and part of your healing process. But don't let them define you. Next, give yourself permission to grieve. Ghosting is a loss of potential, a loss of what could have been. Allow yourself to feel that loss fully, without rushing to fix it. Then, gently shift your focus to self-care. This means different things to different people. It could be journaling your thoughts, spending time in nature, exercising, or simply resting. The key is to reconnect with yourself, your body, mind, and soul. It's also helpful to establish healthy boundaries going forward. For example, if someone ghosts you, consider setting a personal rule that you won't chase or wait indefinitely for explanations. This protects your emotional energy and reinforces your self-respect. Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift you and remind you of your worth. Sometimes, talking with close friends or a therapist can provide perspective and healing tools. Most importantly, remind yourself that his choice to disappear is a reflection of his limitations, not your inadequacy. You are whole and deserving of love that is consistent and communicative. And remember, healing isn't linear. Some days will be harder than others, but with each step forward, you're reclaiming your power. In time, you'll find yourself ready to open your heart again, but this time with clear eyes and a strong foundation. Because the truth about why he ghosted is complicated, but your path forward is clear. Heal, grow, and never settle for less than the love you deserve. When you're ready, we'll dive into the subtle signs that may have preceded the ghosting, signs that help you recognize red flags early and protect your heart. Before a man ghosts, there are often subtle signs, quiet shifts that hint at what's coming. Recognizing these early can save you heartache and help you protect your emotional energy. First, pay attention to consistency. When he's interested, he shows up, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. He follows through on plans. He responds to messages in a timely way. When that starts to slip, it's a red flag. Maybe he texts less often, cancels last minute, or becomes vague about his intentions. Second, notice how he talks about the future. Does he include you in his plans, or keep everything to now? If future talk dries up, it might be because he's uncertain or retreating emotionally. Third, watch his energy during conversations. Is he engaged and present, or distracted and distant? Does he ask questions about you, or is the focus mostly on himself? A lack of genuine curiosity can signal disinterest or emotional withdrawal. Fourth, pay attention to how he handles conflict or difficult conversations. Does he avoid them, shut down, or is he willing to talk things through? Avoidance is often a precursor to ghosting because it signals an inability or unwillingness to face discomfort. Fifth, consider how he responds when you express your feelings or needs. Does he validate and listen or dismiss and minimize? Emotional invalidation can make you feel unseen and unheard, which can precede silence. These signs aren't excuses for ghosting, but they are warning lights. By tuning into them, you empower yourself to take protective action before silence falls. And here's a critical piece. You don't have to tolerate inconsistent or dismissive behavior. You can set boundaries that reflect your worth. For example, if he cancels plans multiple times without explanation, you might say, "I need someone who respects my time." If he avoids conversations, you can choose not to chase clarity endlessly. Your emotional well-being deserves that kind of respect from him and from you. Understanding these signs also helps you break the pattern of blame and confusion that ghosting often leaves behind. You start to see that ghosting rarely comes out of nowhere. It usually follows a series of small disconnects, each one a missed opportunity to communicate and connect authentically. When you know this, you're better prepared next time, whether with him or someone new. You can choose to walk away sooner, before the silence deepens. Or you can address the issues head-on, if the relationship is worth it. Because the truth is, ghosting is not about you failing. It's about him not being ready. Let's talk about what to do next, how to reclaim your power after being ghosted, and how to rebuild your confidence so you never feel lost in silence again. First, acknowledge your pain. Ghosting wounds because it feels like abandonment, a sudden removal of someone you trusted. It's natural to feel hurt, confused, or even betrayed. Give yourself grace. Healing isn't linear. Some days will be easier, others harder. Allow yourself to feel without judgment. Next, resist the urge to chase. I know it's tempting to send that message, the one that explains your side, asks for answers, or pleads for clarity. But chasing only feeds a cycle of uncertainty and pain. It gives him control over your emotional state. Instead, take the power back by choosing silence, not as punishment, but as protection. Use this silence to focus on yourself. Reconnect with what makes you whole apart from him. Spend time on hobbies, friends, and self-care. Nourish your body and mind. This is a time to rediscover your light. Also, reflect on what you've learned. Not to blame yourself, but to grow wiser. Were there signs you missed? Patterns you want to avoid? Boundaries you want to set? Make a promise to yourself. You will not settle for silence. You will demand respect and communication. You will no longer accept being an option. As you rebuild your confidence, remember this: your worth is not defined by someone else's ability to stay. You are whole, deserving, and radiant, regardless of his absence. Finally, when you're ready, open your heart again, but with clear eyes and strong boundaries. Because the love you deserve isn't about chasing shadows. It's about finding someone who meets you in the light. There's a profound freedom in releasing the need for answers from someone who couldn't give them. And that freedom, it's where true healing begins. So if you've been ghosted, remember this truth. His silence is about his journey, not your value. Your path forward is about reclaiming your power, your joy, and your peace. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. If this message spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights on love, healing, and empowerment. Leave a comment below, share your story or questions. You're not alone, and your voice matters. Remember, your heart deserves respect. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep loving, starting with yourself.